Welcome back. And my final guest, and by no means the least, today is Mr. Daniel Bwala. And you notice that in my introduction, I did not make any kind of political affiliations because I believe that these are voices that will certainly shape our future. And I've decided to bring them together. So I'm going to just go right ahead with Mr. Bwala. And first of all, say welcome to Inside Sources, Mr. Daniel Bwala.
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Thank you. So, Mr. Bwala, if you look at where Nigeria is today, presently, right now, would you say that the country is on the trajectory, that we are moving in the right direction towards a great country that we all envisage? Mr. Bwala.
Yeah, Nigeria over the period of years and successive administration has had its own fair share of maladministration, which has resulted in so many problems and brought us to where we are today, despite the incredible potential that the country has and its people, because the Nigerian people all over the world are doing exploit in various fields, whether you look at entertainment, aviation, science and technology, medicine, and in all aspects. And some of the individuals who cannot succeed, for example, in political process in Nigeria, have had to win major elections outside of Nigeria. So definitely, over a period of time, there is something we have not been doing correctly. And that's why we are where we are. Thankfully, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he was sworn in, he decided to embark on a reform that many people will call as risky, have plans for second term. Many presidents that came before him have had those thoughts, they mold those ideas. In fact, in some occasions, they even said they were going to do it. But public outcry and threats, sometimes even within their party, telling them, look, if you embark on this policy, we are not going to be popular in the next poll. So they've always backed out. And it has not helped Nigeria. But now we've gotten to a point where the decision has to be made, or the path we're going will end up, unexpectedly. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has decided to, redirect the path of the airplane. And with this reform, albeit it will take time, but definitely it will place Nigeria on the path to economic recovery, and it will place the Nigerian people on the path to the realization of their dreams in Nigeria. Don't forget that the Nigerian people have actualized their dreams in various fields outside of Nigeria, but in Nigeria, the environment has not been favorable. So I am optimistic there is a future, and we're going there.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel, for that. So now, of course, I think everybody agrees that what is happening in the country today is quite difficult. Mr. President himself agrees to that. There's a lot of hardship in the land. Some of these reforms, which many of us actually commend, removal of the subsidy and the harmonization of the foreign exchange market and all of that, they've come with quite a bit of painful impact. My question to you, Mr. Bwala, is that how long do you think it will take the Nigerian political elite to fix this situation and reduce the painful impact on the Nigerian people?
So there are three layers to the problem. The first layer is the globalized inflation. There is inflation. The inflation is globally. So, for example, in the United Kingdom, rich as they are economically, 2 weeks ago, they officially entered into recession. I was listening to Richie Sunak, who said since the COVID, they've spent over 500 billion pounds in healthcare, NHS, and some of those services. Yet, he's considered a failure because the people have not enjoyed the healthcare services. People will book for the GP and it will take them eternity before they get to meet the person. The European Union officially entered recession, although there are individual countries that are out of it, like Germany and the rest. If you go to different parts of the world, you see this impact of inflation. That's the first layer. So Nigeria is caught up in that. The second layer is the decision that the government decided to take, which it has no option. And it has created a conversation around whether the country should have taken those decisions and obeyed, the IMF, the Brent Group. The truth of the matter, like I said, is that there is a dimension even to the implementation of IMF policy that is called strong country ownership, meaning they are advocates actually of the bullying of IMF, meaning that even in the implementation of the IMF policy, you can apply strong country ownership, means that you will apply or implement those policies to suit the exceptional case of your country. The case in Burundi and Ghana is not the same in Nigeria, which is the reason why, if you realize, you will discover that even though subsidy was removed, but the president or the government is still paying subsidy one way or the other. It is called application of strong country ownership. You are tinkling, so that the situation will be balanced. The third layer to the issue is the governors. And the third layer has the key, because you asked the question, how long? They have the key to bringing the Nigerian people out of the mud at the moment, because the situation the Nigerian people are facing is what is called multidimensional poverty. It's extreme hunger. And you cannot talk about rebuilding infrastructure until, first of all, you get the people to come out of this life-threatening and existential threat that they come under. Because there is even a theory in economy, in economics, that says in order for you to bring people out of poverty, you also have to fund poverty. Meaning that when you make the people have their purchasing power, when you increase their purchasing power, then they are able to, fund themselves, and then it creates and stimulates the economy. Now, this is the simple logic. That's why I said the third layer has the key as to when or how soon we'll come out of it. The president, after removal of subsidies, sat with the federal government, with the state government, the rating unit, and agreed on a sharing formula. And they agreed between federal, state, and local government. They increased their allocation by over 300%. Meaning that if you apply the simple logic of economy, the reason why people are in trouble, are in problem now, is because there is inflation. Cost of living has gone up. Meanwhile, their income has not gone up. And this is where the problem is. So it is like inflation has gone up, but the people remain in the same level at the same place where they were at when the problem started. This is where the problem is. And I made a commitment to escalate this conversation for however long it will take to talk about the governors. Conversation around calling the state to account has always been like hit and run. We have not stayed on it. But if the governors will do, even if it is by half, what they have received for their people, I guarantee you that we'll be out of this immediate problem, and then we'll talk about the next stage.
Excellent point. Now, I want to take you on, take the issue of the governors further, because I also have a take on that I would like to exchange with you. But before we go there, I mean, there is also the view of those who say that, look, the situation in the country today and the kind of hardship, and you have tried to explain it, in terms of current realities globally. But there are those who say that, look, there is the Nigerian peculiarity, caused by corruption, caused by systemic issues that have been on for a long while. And their view, partly expressed by Mr. Farotimi and also Professor Wariboko last week on Inside Sources, is that the political elite must pay a price. That until the political elite pays a price, that Nigeria will be going on in circles. What do you say to that, Mr. Bwala?
I agree with them perfectly. The political class are the problem. But here is the difficulty we have with democracy, quite frankly. And I will give you a case in point. You see, this was the situation that President Obasanjo had at the time when the thoughts and his plans for reform after the military rule were not brought to bear by the conduct of governors in their respective states. So when allocations are released, they do not use it. So we have that crisis in the Niger Delta that affected crude oil production. And then in the north, you have also the issue of Sharia. So he had similar issue. Now, President Obasanjo, being a retired army officer, now resorted to the use of unconventional and undemocratic means, which is to impeach governors, sometimes to deny them their allocation because he believed they are not using it right. That's not the path of democracy. And that's not what President Tinubu is about doing. Because I got asked a few days ago, why wouldn't the president tell the governors and shout on them and ensure that they use the monies for the purpose it is intended in their respective state? I said, this is the weakness of democracy. That what we are practicing in Nigeria is not a unitary government. It is a federal government. That means the federal government is distinct and different from the state government, supposed to be distinct from the local government. And so when the allocation goes to them, the president is incapacitated to force them. The people to call them to account are the people, we, the people. And we, the people, is represented by the press, the fourth estate of the realm, when they begin to put a searchlight on the political elite at the state level. Because we all know that legislative branch and judiciary at the state, they are functus officio. They are not functioning. We practice federal system of government, but our conduct is unitary. That's why what happens in my village, President Bwala Tinubu is responsible for it. That's what you see in unitary government, where you operate it from the center. But it is supposed to be your immediate problem when there is no food in the local government is the local government chairman. And if you look at the sharing formula, a good volume of money goes to the local government. How many of them even see the local government, the money? In most states in Nigeria, the local government chairman, where I just put there, they just see money coming to the account, then they will be given stipends. The rest of the money goes to the governor. So, and the government is about the people. The people are in locality. Local government is actually what constitutes a country. I am also cracking my head. What can we do to ensure that there is a compelling force for the governors to do what they are supposed to do in the given circumstance?
Thank you, brother. So that brings me to the point about the governors. And I agree with you entirely that, a lot of the focus and attention ought to be going to the governors, because in my view, there are quite some exceptions, without even making particular names, there are certain exceptions of governors doing excellent work. And I think Nigerians can figure out that. But for the most part, many of the governors behave like monarchies. They behave like monarchies. Look, I'll give you an example, and then I'll let you have your comment. Look at the issue of Forex. Now, when the Federal Allocation Formula Committee meeting, a monthly FAC meeting holds, a lot of the times the governors, not all of them, but a good number of the governors change a good significant portion of their allocation into dollars. And so you will see that at that time, when they collect the FAC, you see that the value of the naira drops very drastically. I have been in government in the past, and I know that there was a time when the acting president actually prevailed on the governors to not to do that. My question now is that you did say that it's a democratic system, but the president has tremendous influence. And my view is that the president needs to call the governors to a closed-door meeting and say to them that where Nigeria is today, so that democracy will survive and it will go forward, you guys cannot continue to do this. I believe, Daniel, that if the president brings out his big stick, even the bully pulpit alone, I believe that there will be a significant portion of the governors who will sit up. And like I said to you, I know that at least this happened once between 2015 and 2023. It happened at least once that I know. Should the president use his bully pulpit on a continuous basis? Should the president sit down with these governors and tell them what ought to happen and be very serious about it? Should he or should he not? Daniel?
He should, and I can guarantee you that the last meeting he has had with them, everything you talked about, he told them. Everything you talked about. That the allocation was increased so you can deal with problems in your state. And he was very particular about hunger, because we know that based on data, the greater number of the Nigerian people are in extreme poverty. So hunger, he told them that. But they still go their way. So this is my recommendation to Mr. President. Number one, direct that the CBN governor and the Minister of Finance publish every month the allocation for the state. Let it come out in the papers. Let the Nigerian people know exactly how much is going to their state. You see, once you do that, because it happened in the past, they will sit up, because sometimes you go to state, salaries are not paid, and their excuse is that they are still awaiting money from the federal government. And we're talking about only allocation. There is internally generated revenue and some of the loans that they are collecting. This is a fraction. That's what we're talking about. Now, since 1999 till today, almost all the states of the Federation have talked about infrastructure. I make bold to tell you 65 to 70% of the state capital in Nigeria look like a local government. You hardly go to state capital and see electricity. That's to begin with. And then you come to talk about infrastructure and then talk about healthcare. These are the best. Which, of course, if monies were deployed, would have happened. So when the president direct for the publication of their monthly allocation, the first problem is solved because you are not putting them on the spotlight for accountability. That means it will create a conversation. But if that put it by the end of the month, bam, it comes out in all the national dailies. All the media houses will cover it because there would have been cases and incidents in states that would have called for one thing or the other, which now the money being published will bring to light. That's number one. Number two, the president can use his powers to the fullest extent as provided by the Constitution, not to interfere in state affairs, but to be strong on matters of the federal government, especially in areas where he grants concession to them, so that when they begin to know that, okay, this thing is about you, do what I want you to do so I can do what you want. Because they came and had a meeting in the last meeting, and they told him they are agreeable to the issue of state police. I guarantee you they are going to come back and say they need more money. And we all know that if they cannot use the one that they already have, there is no guarantee that they're likely to use that money for state police. But apart from that, Mr. Akonde, I doubt if there is anything else the president can do rather than undemocratic means.
Well, I mean, I agree entirely that, there should be no undemocratic means. But I think we can agree on the fact that whoever is president, especially the president of Nigeria, has tremendous powers. There are those who even believe that Nigeria's president is one of the most powerful presidents that anybody can have because of his influence. Thank you so much, Mr. Bwala. I will ask you one last question before you go. Now, how do you manage, to deal with the perception about your person? You were in APC, we were together in APC, and then you left because of the Muslim ticket, and campaigned for Atiku, and then you are back with the president. I want to give you an opportunity, Mr. Bwala, to, just to clear the hair. How do you manage that?
All right. So let me start by talking about the end and then come back to the beginning briefly. Personally, I am not perturbed by what people say or do about their impression of me because I have grown long enough to know what I stand on, right? But the unfortunate part is that most journalists, people in the press, they feed off of the non-essentials rather than the essential. The way you ask the question is the perfect way. But most journalists would like to be doing grandstanding about it. The answer is simple. Man by nature is a free moral agent with power to make his choices. Choice to be A or to be B. In fact, you have a choice, the power to change your religion. It is in the Constitution. So man is a free moral agent. You have power of association and you can exercise it within the precincts of the law. With respect to me, I've been in APC for 8 years. We are the foundation of APC. We work towards it. When it came to in the primaries, I supported President Bwala Tinubu very strongly. There are some of them that were doing at night. Of course, you were with PYO. There are some of them that were with PYO, but we know at night they are also with other candidates. I chose not to play that kind of politics. I stayed with them. After the primaries, he made a choice that I felt was not in consonance with my conviction. Rather than being hypocritical about it, I backed out. We went into campaign. Campaign is over. Election is over. He won the victory. I come from the faith that teaches me that nobody can command power unless it is given to him by God. And secondly, those who are in authority, we should pray for them. Now, if God permits me to pray for somebody in authority, how about supporting the person to advance the cause? In my own case, I'm lucky. When the president beckoned on me to come and be a part of what is happening in this administration, I count it a privilege and an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Bwala, for your time and for your contributions. I think it is important, to state the fact that all Nigerians have a right to express their opinions and to take their own decisions. Yeah. But what binds us together is the commonwealth of this country. And we will not relent in demanding and in advocating for things to be done properly so that Nigeria can get to that point that we all desire. And even for that, I, who served in government in the last 8 years, will not lose my voice because Nigeria is the greatest.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for coming.